common attitude in the K-pop sphere that minors are prevalent and audiences are yearning to listen to and watch actual adults perform. As such, when Kiss of Life debuted with a mature concept, when many of their peers were performing with a youthful, quote-unquote Y2K but not Y2K aesthetic, it was a welcome change and worked quickly to set them apart. Along with the musical distinction was the ages of the members. With a quick rundown, Kiss of Life is a group consisting of 4 members. As of me recording, Julie is 24, Natty is 21, Belle is 20, and finally, the maknae, Hanul, is 18. Sorry if I mispronounced that. While I share this sentiment, I fear it may be misplaced when it comes to this group and those like it. If you've been anywhere in the K-pop community for the past year and not hiding under a rock, you may have heard the phrase, finally, grown women in K-pop, and most likely heard it in conjunction with the group Kiss of Life. I've had an issue with this rhetoric for the longest time, but couldn't put my finger on exactly why until recently. But before I get too deep into the topic, I'd like to put some disclaimers. This video is in no way meant to target or harass the group in any way. They just happen to be the best example of this phenomenon. Also, stream Midas touch. It would also be remiss of me not to acknowledge that the people constantly preaching about this are doing so with good intentions. If I give them the benefit of the doubt, I can see it as an effort to counteract the obvious minor issue, trying to encourage companies to continue the trend of debuting adults. It's honestly heartbreaking that an 18-year-old debuting is noteworthy at all, considering the rigorous and dangerous nature of the music industry. Regardless, this optimistic motive doesn't disregard the glaring issue, for the most obvious reason being that they aren't full-grown women, or more specifically, Hanul isn't. And people overhyping the ages of newly debuted groups that have done the bare minimum of debuting legal adults won't change that. The most turbulent time of anybody's life, second to puberty, are the late teens and early 20s. This is a time of experimentation, emotional and mental growth, and the growing pains of becoming a functional adult in society. At 18, you're probably in college, and if not, you're working a not-so-great job. Your credit score is shit, you don't have a house, a car, a mortgage, you're in debt, you don't have kids, and don't even get me started on your love life. Essentially, you haven't passed the threshold of any adult experiences. And no one older will treat you as such. Well, only the government will. The point I'm trying to make is legal adult does not equal grown. The only people I've ever heard call an 18-year-old a grown adult are minors, which would explain the popularity of this phrase, since a large part of the K-pop audience is underage. It doesn't help that actually grown women in K-pop are called hags. Just throwing examples out there. This Twitter post, quote retweeting the official Twice account promoting their 13th mini-album saying, "Watch out, New Jeans, here comes twice your age." Or how about this one? About Hwasa's performance, calling a 28-year-old 40 as some kind of insult for dancing to a trending song, magnetic in this case. You get the point. K-pop stans are allergic to actually grown women, but feel comfortable calling Kiss of Life as such. Another aspect that I realized and eventually encouraged me to make the video is how K-pop affects your perception of age. Before I got into K-pop, I would say I had a normal recognition of time. There was a natural flow to life stages, and I never felt rushed or in a hurry to achieve a certain goal. I had enough awareness to see that I was making steady progress, for example, in my biology degree, or advancing ahead at my part-time job. After, though, I started having inexplicable anxiety about my future, regarding whether I was improving at a fast enough pace in my studies. Couldn't I study for another hour longer? What's wrong with picking up an extra shift? I could really use a better evaluation when the yearly raises come around. That doesn't sound bad out the gate, which is why I didn't clock the negative mindset I was adopting. Instead, this pushed me to work harder, always comparing myself with idols who always seemed to have it together. They were on a different path than me, sure, but we were the same age, if not younger than me. Surely I should be that proficient too. It slowly devolved into what I would like to call a quarter-life crisis. I was seriously questioning whether I should drop out of school and just work full-time because of how, quote-unquote, late I perceived I was. I internalized the mentality that if I was going to accomplish anything of worth, it had to be while I was young. If I wasn't able to be perfect, why try at all? It seems so silly now, but at that time I thought I was way behind as a 19-year-old, that I was past my prime, and how others around me were just as screwed. I was judgmental of those around me, finding fault where there was none, and creating artificial distance between those I deemed successful and those that weren't. In retrospect, I was spiraling and idiotic. I reckon that many K-pop stans, while maybe not as extreme, also partake in this ideology. While my experience is inherently anecdotal, you can see the same thought process in the ways K-pop stans speak of older groups compared to their juniors. How they treat older fans, calling those over the age of 30 hags, and even with their joyous celebration of Kiss of Life's grown women. All in all, I think this fallacy about grown women only enables the toxic expectations of a woman's expiry date if her prime is meant to be in her early 20s. I want adults debuting as much as the next person, but overemphasizing groups that barely meet that requirement doesn't help us see that hope come to fruition. If you've made it this far, congrats. I appreciate it, and I plan on making more KTube-esque videos in the future, so subscribe if you liked it. Oh, and drop a comment, because I'd love to discuss this with y'all. Bye-bye!